A royal family in crisis, tight lips and sudden sensitivity. The British monarchy is no stranger to drama. It's almost their national sport, second only to drinking tea and pretending the weather isn't catastrophic. But even by royal standards, things have taken a Shakespearean turn. King Charles III, a man who has spent 7 decades rehearsing for his role as sovereign, has been diagnosed with cancer. And now, with his health in question, the monarchy faces one of the most certain moments in its recent history. So what's next, will Britain soon be singing? God save the king, for a new monarch is the royal family, hiding some scandalous secrets behind their carefully guarded palace walls. And most importantly, who's inheriting the corgis? This time, get out your tiard and brew a strong cup of GR, because we're going to dive into the latest royal crisis with the humour and irreverence. It deserves Charles III, the monarch who waited too long, let's be honest. Charles's ascension to the throne was longer than the queue for the toilets at Buckingham Palace on a crowded summer's day. The poor man waited his whole life longer than some entire dynasties have lasted to be struck down by a cancer diagnosis. Just when he was starting to feel comfortable on his gilded throne, when the news broke in February 2024, the nation let slip a collective blue L, a sentiment shared by the royal family. The government is probably even the ghost of Queen Elizabeth. True to form, the palace refused to specify what type of cancer he had, only announcing that it was not prostate cancer. Because, of course, that's what we were most concerned about. While the king reduced his royal obligations, it soon became apparent that this was not a simple little health concern. Suddenly, the conversation is, will Charles's past modernise the monarchy? Will he be around long enough to redecorate Buckingham Palace? And so began what we like unofficially to call Operation Charles in Command. But not for long, the royal family gathers tear tradition and a few sideways glances. Nothing brings the royal family together like a crisis birth, death marriage scandal. These people have perfected the art of the stoic appearance while secretly planning their next move. With Charles's health in decline, these grandchildren would have been gathered for a final farewell to their grandfather, given the legendary emotional coldness of the Windsors. One has to wonder, were there any real tears, or just a single, dignified tear rolling down a cheek in slow motion? Accompanied by dramatic orchestral music, we will never know. But what we do know is that Operation Bridge, the code name of the preparations, Charles's funeral has been quietly set in motion. Because, as any royal expert will tell you, when you are a monarch, he starts planning your funeral before you have even finished your first coronation meal. And of course, all this planning raises the most important question of all. Who is next in line? The king falls long. Live him who already has the succession, that eternal topic that is the delight of royal historians and tabloids, with Charles engaged in a battle with cancer. The obvious successor is Prince William. But if the history of the monarchy has taught us anything, it is that nothing is ever that simple. William has already started taking on more responsibility in his father's absence, but let's not forget he has his own royal drama. His wife, Princess Catherine, also has cancer, which means that the future king and queen are going through simultaneously crises of health. Meanwhile, Prince Harry made a flying visit to the UK upon hearing of his father's diagnosis, but didn't even get to see Charles officially. It was a scheduling conflict, which is probably the most Pole way of saying, yeah, we don't want to deal with this today. Harry left as quickly as a cold cup of tea, fueling even more speculation, because let's be honest, this family lives for scandals. So what does all this mean for the future of the throne? The British monarchy? A royal rerun or a new era? Charles' reign was already billed as a transitional period. Unlike his mother, who reigned for 70 years. Charles ascended to the throne at 73, an age when most people would rather retire than take power. But here's the real deal. The monarchy is not based on a single person, but on an institution. And that institution is more fragile than ever. The British population, once loyal to the crown, is beginning to ask serious questions about its usefulness. The younger generations of royals are themselves mired in scandals and personal drama. The world is changing rapidly, and the monarchy must reshape itself to remain relevant. An uncertain future will. Charles passed the torch as Charles continues his treatment. The monarchy is at a crucial turning point. 3 scenarios are emerging. 1, Charles recovers and continues to reign, best scenario, but not necessarily the most realistic. Charles abdicates and passes the crown to William. An abdication would be a historic shock, but if his health does not allow him to continue, it could be the best option. 3, a smooth transition to William. The most likely scenario. William gradually assuming more responsibility as Charles gradually fades into the background behind the scenes. The British monarchy, the end or a new beginning. If the royal family knows how to do one thing, is surviving. It has been through wars, divorces, scandals, and even the time when Prince Philip insulted an entire country by accident. But this time, the future seems more uncertain than ever with a sick king, a crown prince under pressure, and an exiled prince, who returns at the slightest crisis. The monarchy is more vulnerable than ever, so is this the end of the Windsor dynasty, or simply the beginning of a new chapter? More modern and still as dramatic. Whatever happens, one thing is for sure: the Windsors are not ready to stop entertaining us. The crown in crisis between Shakespearean drama and reality TV. The British royal family has survived wars, divorces, abdications, and even that time when Prince Philip called a group of Indigenous Australians javelin throwers. But today, as King Charles III battles cancer, and Prince William is thrust into an uncertain future, the monarchy faces its greatest challenge. It's not just a family crisis, it's a full-blown constitutional soap opera. Will Charles hold firm, or will Britain have a new king, before the stores have even had time to update their ME memorial? And most importantly, will the monarchy survive the Netflix era, where scandals spread faster than a misguided interview with Prince Andrew? Hold on tight, because we're going to decipher the biggest royal cliffhanger of recent decades. Camilla the Queen, who was never meant to reign. And yet, here we are. Once the most hated woman in Britain, Camilla has now become the centrepiece of the monarchy. Who could have predicted that the one who was the other woman in Drama Tank Diana would end up keeping the royal family afloat in times of crisis is the ultimate turnaround. Let's not forget that Camilla's rise from royal outcast to queen consort was one of the greatest PR stunts in history. It took decades of strategic media manoeuvring and a relentless campaign to convince the public that she was not the villain of the fairy tale, but rather a misunderstood heroine. And today, she is the one holding the helm as Charles battles illness. Camilla takes on the role of unofficial regent, managing the affairs of the palace while ensuring that her husband doesn't wear himself out greeting tourists. If the British people of the 90s had been told that Camilla would become the most stable figure in the monarchy, they would have laughed. And yet, here we are. But it's not a done deal. But a problem is looming on the horizon. Camilla's growing influence may not please the next generation, because once Charles is gone, the game, Camilla's power, will end. The William and Kate are throne built on likes. Instagram, if Charles's reign is transitional, William's will be a transformation. He doesn't just inherit a crown, he inherits a monarchy that has been in dire need of renewal for years. The royal communication strategy is based on William and Kate, the perfect representatives of a modern monarchy, worthy, devoted, but also just approachable enough to appear. In addition, matched in Christmas photos, the goal has always been to make the undisputable future of the monarchy. At the centre of these tensions is Andrew's uncertain future at Royal Lodge, the Windsor estate where he has lived for decades. His controversial associations, most notably with disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein and a Chinese businessman accused of espionage, have cast a shadow over his position within the monarchy. As a result of these issues, Andrew was notably absent from the royal family's Christmas gathering at Sandringham, further fueling speculation about his diminishing role within the firm. Neither Harry nor Andrew holds the status of working royal, and King Charles is reportedly walking a fine line, carefully managing these family tensions to avoid further rifts. According to a source, His Majesty does not want to exacerbate family tensions further. By nature, he is a unifier, not a divider. Prince William is dedicated to duty, as imbued in him by Queen Elizabeth II, who tutored him every Sunday regarding his royal duties, Fordwich told. He's also under huge generational pressure since the increasing public popularity of the monarchy ranks highest for both him and Princess Catherine. Fordwich also claimed that Prince Harry and Prince Andrew are wary of his wrath. Harry's whinge-fest spare, with its acerbic accusations against the royal family, particularly his denigration of the Princess of Wales, rendered it the final straw, as William told those around him. She noted that William feels he and his wife were bitterly attacked in Harry's tell-all. As for the disgraced Duke of York, William believes he has put the family in jeopardy over his controversial ties to late financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. As a millennial, he won't and can't risk public association with disastrous members of the family who merely serve as distractions from public duty. Fordwich's claims came shortly after sources told that the father of three has been putting his foot down when it comes to decisions about the monarchy's future. It's no secret that anyone who pushes back against him will be swiftly shown the door, a palace insider told the outlet. He's not willing to take any nonsense, and the word is he's already on his way to being the toughest ruler the family has ever seen. Sources also claim to the outlet that William has never been more influential than he has been in recent months. The 42-year-old, they said, isn't shying away from making decisions that he feels will benefit the crown in the long run. I talk to people close to him who say he is very tough to work with and relentless in his desires to achieve, said royal expert Ian Pelham-Turner. He does not suffer fools gladly. It has often been said that King Charles finds it very hard to make decisions, especially about his two sons and how to deal with Harry. William is far more forthright, like his grandfather Prince Philip, who would push people out of the way if they stood in front of him. He is extremely ambitious. British broadcaster and photographer Helena Chard told that William is determined to revamp the monarchy's reputation. Last year proved to be a brutal one for the prince, as he admitted, due to his family's health saga. Both Charles and his daughter-in-law Catherine were diagnosed with cancer in 2024. In September, the Princess of Wales announced that she had completed her chemotherapy treatment. There are also reports that the King and Prince William held an important meeting about the future of the monarchy. The King's health is taking a toll on him, leading to whispers that his reign may be shorter than anticipated. Charles's aides have been taking his reign day by day for months now, a palace source revealed. He is determined to serve as long as he possibly can. As per report, the King's advisers are preparing for the possibility of a transition of power.